Jenny, tell us about the research.
I'd like to start from my particular interest in this subject. So we'll get there. But I start as a leadership scholar. I'm very interested in leadership as practice. And one of the practices, if you like, of leadership is presence. Now, we all know that some leaders can be present by looking down a camera at Zoom, working through remote platforms. So it's possible to be a leader and achieve leadership through remote presence. But of course, in the lockdown, we had a unique situation where we had leaders who were trying to establish their leadership and they weren't able to be physically present. So this was another view of presence, in this case absence. So we now have a situation where we can explore what does leadership presence bring? What does it achieve? What is unique about physically locating somebody? And what can be achieved without physical location? And we can begin to experiment and explore that. But then overlaid into that, what we found in early interviews is that there's also a question of the mobility of knowledge. Does knowledge always go with the individual, or can knowledge be transferred in other ways? Again, can we be using virtual platforms, and is it effective? Now, the community we're here talking to today has unique insights into these issues, and the work that Dr. Phil Renshaw and myself are interested to engage this community with is come and help us untangle some of this, come and help us explore some of the basic assumptions behind global mobility, leadership, and knowledge management. So it's a very exciting piece of work, and we're calling for more participation.
And John, why did Santa Fe want to get involved with this research?
It's a good question. I've collaborated with Phil before, and had many discussions, and this subject came up, and I thought this will be fantastic as a continuation of our survey research, because as Jenny was saying, it's very important, because mobility now has become more strategic, it's become visible, it's become a function that is no longer just transactional, and in order to create value and to challenge the status quo, this research enables mobility and also organisations to be thinking, well, why do we have internationals? Is cross-border working for everybody, or is it just for some? And what's our purpose? What are we trying to achieve? So we felt that this was a superb piece of research that we want to sort of broaden out, because as we know, working in a manufacturing scenario, probably presence is more critical. If you're working in professional services or technology, maybe it's not. But even with that, in terms of leadership and the knowledge transfer, working in virtually is one thing. Working physically is a very different dynamic, and it depends on what the organisation is trying to achieve. So we think it's an area where people know they need to look at it, but it's easy to say, well, we're too busy to be thinking. So if you like, we're trying to do some thinking for people. And as Jenny was saying, it's really coming up with some insights and challenges. So I'm super excited and would encourage people. So it will be a mobility director, global mobility director, and we'd also like to be talking to the chief human resources officer or the talent lead, and dare I say even a business leader, because they're the ones who are initiating and are driving organisational growth. Would you agree with that, Jenny?
Yeah, that would be lovely.
And Jenny, what is the commitment when you say you want to speak to somebody? What's that going to look like?
Oh, easy. Just a Zoom call with us, really. It takes about an hour, a bit more if we get into some interesting ideas or interesting cases. But it's a very low-level commitment. And the return, we promise back unique insights, a report, maybe even the possibility of convening more discussion groups or
A workshop.
workshops or something. It depends what we find. Obviously, if we find something really interesting, everybody will want that. But the nature of research is we might just confirm what we already know. I don't think we will, but just to manage expectations. And the other thing we'd really like is we'd like this connectivity that John has talked about, not just working with the global mobility function to get their point of view, but to look at the broader connection back into the business and to HR and talent. That idea that came up again and again this morning, that this is a talent issue. It's not just a logistic issue.
Well, I'm sure that you'll get a very good response, and we look forward to hearing about your findings. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.